Hey guys, Mr. West here. Listen, it's Mother's Day, and you know, for a recovering alcoholic, Mother's Day always brings me back a little bit of regret. My mom, one of the best women on the planet, she never got to raise us, my sister and I. We were taken from her I was 7, my sister was 6, and we were raised by our father. And she she really got screwed out of that deal. Um, my father, he was he was an addicted man. He always was addicted to, when he was younger, crank. Later on down the road, it turns into meth and things like that. He raised us. My mom got beat out in court. She was more of the, well, we'll say my father was more of the ruthless type of person, and she wasn't. And he was older than her by about 7 years. So, and again, he was, in the drug world. My dad used to make it. He would sell it, distribute it, all that kind of stuff. And so being in that kind of world, you're mean. You tend to become a mean person. And my mom wasn't a mean person. My mom, it's funny that my father and my mother ever even got together. Like when I look back on things, because my mother was, in my opinion, just always way out of my father's league. So whenever Mother's Day comes around, I always think about how mom really got screwed on raising us. And there's a whole story to that. Maybe I'll share that one day. But like I say, Mother's Day always makes me think about all that my mom went through in order to be my mother while my father was raising us. And like I say, my mom got beat out in court. Um, she was basically just like not allowed to be in our lives. That's how it eventually turned out. And she didn't deserve that. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. My mother did not deserve that. My father was ruthless. Okay. He painted a picture about her that wasn't true. Okay. And in her defense, I will say that her age and her naivety, her being naive, however the right way to say that, her being naive, um, got her beat out. Okay. So while my father was raising us, my mom had to still go about her life. And I don't know how she did it, honestly. Okay. But in going about her life, of course, over the years, she'd meet someone, maybe get married. She always, like, if she got with someone and married them and they had kids, she raised them like they were her own, you know. And she did that with, I want to say, I have 4 stepsisters and a stepbrother. And so she raised 5 other kids that weren't hers. And we were just talking today, actually, how those kids, even though she's not their real mother, and their real mother was in their life more towards when they were teenagers, kind of came along and was their buddy and shit like that, went partying and all that kind of stuff. But my mom was able to be the one up until, their teenage years to instill all that kindness and taught them about the Lord and stuff like that. Give them their foundation. And it just made me think when I was talking with her today that I got to have my mother in my life up until I was about 7. And I'm 41 now. I got her back in my life when I was, I want to say 22 or 21. And even the short time that I spent with her, even in those 7 years, I carried her with me. And I still do to this day. It's amazing what an impact a person can make on someone, even in a short period of time. I know 7 years isn't a short period of time, but in the grand scheme of like 41 years, I've only got to have a relationship with her basically from 21 on till now. So another 20 years. But like, I live in Oregon, she lives in Idaho, and we've always been separated, you know. But Mother's Day always makes me think about, just all that she did to be a mom. She tried to be our mother. And when she wasn't raising us, she was a mother to any other child that she was around. And I commend mothers that are like that. some moms are not, some women that have kids are not natural mothers, you know. The older I get and I see the world changing and things, I really tend to value things that things like that, you know, just mothers who are natural mothers and who put the foundation in us when we're young. I was raised by my father, like I say, and he was a two-time convicted violent drug felon. Spent a good majority of his life, early life, behind bars, and then, you know, a decent amount of it even as an adult, and a fair amount of it even when I was a kid. And so I did a lot of raising of myself. I'm the oldest. I always had to kind of pave my own path, and I really would have liked to have had my mom in my life, you know. And I'm thankful to you know, these days that I do have her in my life. I talk to my mom. We probably talk about, you know, a couple times a week, but when we do, it's just such rich conversation. Mom, when we talk, I love talking with you. I can talk with you for hours, you know. You know, it's different than like when I talk with my dad. We talk every single day, and it's a lot of surface level things. I appreciate it that my father and I talk, but you know, you talk every single day. What all are you really going to talk about, you know? But with my mom, you know, it's just such rich conversation. We get into the Lord, we'll get into life. You know, we used to talk a lot about my alcoholism. You know, when I was able to be back in her life, about 21, 22, like I said, I ended up moving to, because she lived in Twin Falls, Idaho at the time. And I had moved back from Oregon back over to Twin Falls, and I actually got a place that was probably like 5 or 6 blocks down the road from her. And it kind of sucked because, you know, I was still in my addiction back then, and she was so excited to have me back in her life and stuff. And she'd pop in and see me and stuff. And oftentimes I would already be drunk. And, you know, when you get sober and things, and you reflect and you look back on things, sometimes it's hard not to have regret, because I remember how disappointed she was. I think in just in the whole situation of, you know, waited so long to be able to be in each other's lives, and then I was always intoxicated. And I was, you know, when I was in that age, I was, you know, I was like 21, 22 in my 20s. I didn't have my head on straight like I do now. I hadn't been through as many years of um, the pain of alcoholism and things like that. And I hadn't made all of the mistakes that I was going to make. And so I kind of really wish that I had stopped then. You know, we all look back and wish that we'd stopped sooner. Thankfully for me, though, even of all the years that I drank, my health is still intact. And I've always, you know, even during my addiction, I always worked out. Not like I do now. I'm very healthy now. I eat healthy, I eat mindfully. Working out is something I need to do every single day. Learning to replace my old life is what I do now. When I quit, when I quit for good, and I do plan to be quit for good. That's my plan. I knew I needed to replace that. That's one thing I learned out of all the times of trying to quit and things like that is, you know, if you're paying attention, you do learn along the way. And for me, in a sense, quitting each time was harder mentally, because you have all of that, you know, you have the, I guess you have the heaviness of regret from, you know, just being disappointed in yourself, like, oh fuck, I quit it, you know, I'm having to start over again. But thankfully, every time I have quit too, I've learned more along the way. You know, some of the most helpful things that I've ever learned when it came to staying sober is really just taking care of my body physically, and being mindful about what I eat. You know, let your food be your medicine, and let your medicine be your food. You know, I got into the gym and stuff like that for a while when I first quit, but I'm one of those type of people that if I see something every day, I'm more likely to do it. And that's how it was with my addiction. If I seen alcohol every day, I was probably more likely to drink. But so like you see, I have my punching bag. You know, you guys really can't see this, but I keep my cinder blocks, you know, over here. I have my Bowflex, you know, and just the concrete here. You know, I walk out of my back porch every day, and I see these things, and it makes it harder to see them and not use them, you know. And let's say I just told myself I was going to do, 5 push-ups or something. Set myself a real small goal. If I get down there and I do 5 push-ups and the goal is only to do 5, I'm already down there. I might hit 6, I might hit 7, I might, before I know it, before the end of the session's over, I might have already done 100. And so I learned with myself, just setting small, little achievable goals. This isn't new information, I know that, but it's weird how you can hear stuff a bunch of times and it just never really sticks with you until you're ready, you know. I know I started talking about Mother's Day. It's just that, like I say, every Mother's Day, it really makes me think about, well, one, I'm very grateful that my mother's still in my life and I could talk to her anytime I want to, and I'm healthy and my mind is still intact. And, she might have got screwed on raising us, but also she showed me that she's a real resilient person. She showed me what I can be, what I can endure. And, I learned that from both of my parents, but today's my mom's day. Mom, if you're watching this, I've never shared this YouTube channel with my mother, so she's not likely to see it. But for any mom, right? Thank you. Thank you for being a mom. Thank you for raising us. Thank you for, not giving up on us when, we put you through hell and made you have so many sleepless nights. But, you know, Mom, I'm here and I'm healthy. I'm intact. My mind is good. My body's strong. I have a healthy family. I have a kind fiance I'll be getting married to here in August. My boys are healthy and strong. My daughters are healthy and strong. And so I have nothing but gratitude for my life now. That's what it's like being alcohol free for me on this Mother's Day. Anyways, that's my video for today. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. For everyone else, you have a great rest of your day on purpose. Okay, God bless you. Stay alcohol free if you can. I'm out of here.